Okay, today I'm talking about fragrances that smell amazing, awesome smelling fragrances that I wish lasted longer. 20 fragrances that I have here as examples for you today, all coming right up. Yes, 20 different fragrances that I really love. They're awesome smelling fragrances, but they do not last as long. Some are either skin scents that don't have much projection or sillage or any cloud or anything like that, and some just don't last as long. And you know, I'm not picking on these particular brands, but this kind of video triggered from my video yesterday. If you haven't caught that video on how KIEHL'S Love Don't Be Shy has been reformulated, and a lot of people say it's not. Anyway, that's what triggered this video, because I find KIEHL'S fragrances in this particular scenario. Again, all noses are different. For me, they're kind of weak fragrances. They don't have much longevity and you know, the big massive beastly kind of experience, and those are the kind of fragrances I'm going to talk to you about today. And this is my experience. You might experience fragrances differently, so anyway, if you experience these fragrances much stronger than I do, then even better for you. But these ones that I'm talking about today are I wish lasted longer. Either way though, before I get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed to the channel, please do click the subscribe button below, and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So I just want to also let you know, all the fragrances in today's video are unisex, except for the first and the second. First one is male targeted, second one is female targeted. The rest are unisex targeted, but you'll find the information in the info box where I've indicated what's what. Let's go ahead and get started with the fragrances. And the first one is a male targeted release. As I said, it's from the house of MAISON Margiela. It's at the BARBER'S. This is a great barbershop fragrance. In fact, it kind of reminds me a little bit of something like Rive Gauche pour Homme from the house of YSL. And that's been discontinued. And again, MAISON Margiela, YSL, all under the same parent company of L'Oreal. So it kind of figures they're kind of similar. But it's such a wimp experience that I rarely pull for, you know? Doesn't have great longevity. It's mostly a skin scent. It doesn't have a lot of, you know, sillage and projection and things like that. So it's a disappointing release. I just wish it was a little more oomfier, not a little, a lot more oomfier, and had a little more substance and depth to it. But maybe you can extend the life with, or like boost it up a little bit with some kind of a layering tool like Molecule 1 or Molecule 2, even Molecule 4, to make it a little beefier. But either way, I don't know what kind of experience you guys get with at the BARBER'S, but for me, it's definitely a wimpy experience. That is MAISON Margiela at the BARBER'S, male targeted release. The next one is a female targeted release from the house of NARS. This is Audacious. Great smelling fragrance, really great, but I do have to say this is a little more intense than at the BARBER'S, at least as a smell. There's a little more density in there, or depth in there, but I wish it lasted longer. It doesn't project as much as I wanted to as well, but in comparison to the at the BARBER'S, again, this to me is a little more oomfier, but still I think it's lacking in strength and depth and things like that. But this to me is a fragrance, lots of flowers with sandalwood and incense, but I just wish it had the intensity kind of a thing, the depth and longevity, but it doesn't, so you have to keep applying and then, you know, spraying more to kind of like, you know, make for it to last longer. But I think you can extend the life of this one with something like Molecule 4, because you can smell the sandalwood in here, and Molecule 4 is the synthetic molecule that smells like sandalwood javanol, and so you can layer that to boost this fragrance up a little, but I wish it was a little stronger. Either way, NARS Audacious, a feminine targeted release. I just wish it lasted longer and it had a little more of a presence. But the next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about, and as I said, the rest of the fragrances are unisex targeted, going to the house of ATELIER Cologne, Orange Sanguine, for a great smelling orangey fragrance. Yum, yum, yum. It smells authentic. To me, it reminds me of orange juice pretty much, but it features a blood orange, bitter orange, some aromatics, some flowers, and you know, some sandalwood as well. Sandalwood keeps coming up. I think it's a great woody note. And this one, you can also, you know, intensify it with something like Molecule 4 as well. But I just wish it was a little more oomfier, like There are some fragrances in this house that are kind of like the X-ray versions, like Rose Anonyme and things like that. I just wish they had it of this one because it smells so good, but it does not perform. It's also doesn't have the biggest cloud and things like that, although it does have it for a while when you first spray it, but doesn't continue and continue. It kind of falls flat, and typical of citruses, but a great cozy citrus. Wish it performed better, wish it lasted longer, wish it projected a little more. It's either way, Orange Sanguine from the house of Atelier Cologne. Now this next one's kind of disappointing me. I recently bought it. It's from the house of Le Labo and their collection of city exclusive. This is Gaiac 10 from Tokyo. This is the Tokyo city exclusive. This is mostly a skin scent for me. I love the way it smells. I love all the musk with the Gaiac wood and the cedar wood and the olibanum. So you've got this kind of creamy woods and dusty woods in contrast with the musk, which I love. And then you have the olibanum running throughout it as well to give it a kind of a resinous smoky touch. But to me, it's mostly skin scent. And I wish it had a little more projection. Maybe it's not macerated, but I bought it on September 1st. It's now, what, the middle of October. It should be macerated enough, right? But either way, it smells really, really great, but I keep wanting to spray a lot of it. And I feel like I shouldn't because it's so expensive, so it becomes a skin scent. I just wish... I don't know what the deal is, but I wish this was a little stronger. Let me know if you experienced the same thing with Gaiac 10 and the fragrances I've discussed with you so far. I wish the performance was better with this one, and also the oomphiness, like the deepness, the richness, the intensity. Either way, Gaiac 10 from Le Labo. I guess we can't have it all, right? We can have the smell, but we can't have the performance. I wish we could, though. All right, this next one is not necessarily overly expensive. It's also in a larger size bottle. It's a 120 ml bottle from the house of Chanel. It's a unisex targeted release. It's from the Les Eaux collection. It recently came out earlier this year. It's Paris Edinburgh. But once again, it's a fragrance that smells really, really great, but it's close to the skin. It doesn't scream too much. It smells fantastic though. Really, really a beautiful fragrance. It smells really wonderful. And I feel like even though it's unisex targeted, it's masculine leaning because of all the notes like juniper berry, cypress, vetiver, and there is a little bit of a citrusy touch in there like bergamot and some geranium and lavender. I get these notes, but Chanel credits just the juniper berry, cypress, and vetiver. But really wish it was not so close to the skin. Really wish it was deeper and richer. It is an eau de toilette, and we are speaking a lot about eau de toilettes today, and I just wish it came as a more potent form or in a more potent variety. But if you like a really woody fragrance from the house of Chanel, because Chanel definitely has a very feminine edge to it, a lot of their fragrances, but if you don't know this Les Eaux collection and you're looking for like a new, woody aromatic fragrance, definitely check this one out. But you might have to like pair it with something like Molecule 1 or Molecule 2 just to extend the life a little bit, because as I said, it doesn't perform that well on me. But it smells fantastic. Either way, Chanel Paris Edinburgh from the Les Eaux collection. What a wonderful smell that is. The next fragrance I'm talking about is from the house of ACQUA di Parma. FICO de Amalfi, this one right here. Beautiful fruity fig fragrance. Really, really wimpy on me. Wish it lasted longer. Wish it had more depth. It smells thin, Could be the reformulations, could be just the way this fragrance is, but I feel like it needs oomph, like it needs like intensification and things like that. But this is figs, grapefruit, bergamot, citron, lemons, fig tree, jasmine, pink pepper, cedar. A beautiful fragrance. This collection is great, but they're all kind of on the wimpy side, I think. Some might be a little more intense than others, but out of the collection, I love this one because I love the smell of figs, the fruitiness, the greenness, and the citrus all together, but just is a little wimpy on me, and I wish it was a little stronger. Now, a lot of these fragrances I'm also talking about today can be perfect for summer wear because it's hot and you don't want them to be overly intense, but sometimes I still want intensity so it lasts longer, Either way, Fico de Amalfi from the ACQUA di Parma house is a great scent that I wish lasted longer. This next fragrance from the house of ATELIER Orange, one of my favorite smells ever. In fact, I featured it in a favorite smells ever video, but this is a great freshie. Unfortunately, I wish it was a little more oomphier, but as a smell, it's freaking fantastic. This is You or Someone Like You for the most authentic fresh mint fragrance. And I could see that this just could be perfect as is like this. It's kind of like you're walking through a garden and you have a mint explosion, green grass explosion, a little citrus, and maybe a little musky rose explosion. But I just wish it was a little stronger, you know? So I leave this one for very, very hot days, or when I want to just like continue liberally spraying over and over again, you know? Because it's an addictive smell. I love the mint in this. Really, really authentic mint. Dry and fresh cut mint together. Fantastic smell. But I just wish it was a little oomfier. I don't know. ATELIER d'Orange is not known for releasing flankers, although they have one for Rien. They have Rien and they have Rien Intense Incense. Both of those are beast mode. This, on the other hand, is a very, very fresh fragrance. I just wish it was a little more intense. Either way, you're someone like you from the house of ATELIER d'Orange. Great, great fragrance. This next one's from the house of Annick Goutal, which is now called Goutal Paris, but I have the Annick Goutal version. This is Eau d'Adrienne. This is the EDP version, but it has definitely gotten light. I just wish it was a little more oomfier and a little more denser and an intense kind of a thing. But it's the ultimate in lemons. Like if you like tart, juicy, sour kind of lemons together with woods, you gotta try this one because it's perfect for hot days, you know. I just wish it was a little more oomfier to have a little more longevity with the wearing experience. But it's lots of lemons, cypress, citron, grapefruit, mandarin orange, aldehydes. Beautiful. One of my very, very first early niche fragrance purchases that I did, going back to 1999. This is when I started wearing this. A great fragrance, and now I need to explore the house and the new bottles. But this is the Eau de Parfum version, and still I feel like it needs a little more oomphin' up. Maybe they'll make an X-ray version of this. Who knows? I'm only hoping and wishing. But either way, Eau d'Adrienne from Annick Goutal. Wish it was definitely a longer lasting or a more beefier fragrance, because I just love the way that smells, but I want some more intensity from it. I'm sure you're noticing that a lot of the fragrances are freshies and or eau de toilettes. Here we have an eau de cologne going to the house of Santa Maria Novella. This is Tobacco Toscano, a great fragrance that you think is going to be deep, rich, because it's about tobacco, but it's very, very thin and light. It's an eau de cologne. Has depth to it, as in smells, but it wears thing kind of a thing, and I wish it had more beefiness. Like Santa Maria Novella is not known for releasing really intense fragrances. They're all eau de colognes, except for one or two might be eau de toilettes. But I hope they take something like this and make like an eau de parfum version of it, because it would be really, really beautiful. Because I love the way this tobacco smells. It's a creamy, kind of vanillic tobacco. Wears very fresh, but you know, tobacco, birch leaf, vanilla, amber, malt, bergamot, and jasmine. Great smell. Wish it was beefier though. That's Santa Maria Novella, Tobacco Toscano. Wish it performed and wore definitely more dense. The next fragrance is from the house of Tom Ford. This, on the other hand, is an eau de parfum, but to me, I don't get great longevity with this one. This is Lost Cherry. Great smell. Wonderful smell. Such a delicious fragrance. Really, really delicious, boozy cherry liqueur, almondy kind of a mixture type of a fragrance. But wish it was something that performed a lot better on me. But then again, I think maybe because the notes they're using don't perform. I don't know why. But there's definitely balsams and ambery, resiny kind of touches in here in the base, so it should perform, but I think the fruity liqueur type notes might be outweighing the denser notes, so that's why it doesn't perform as good. But either way, it's cherries, bitter almonds, liqueur, cherry liqueur, tonka beans, peru balsam, vanilla, benzoin, cinnamon, sandalwood, plums. Yummy, yummy fragrance. Bad performance on me, but still I love the way it smells, so I have to keep spraying and overspraying this one. Lost Cherry from the house of Tom Ford, Private Blend Collection. This next one's from the house of Hermes. This is Eau de Rhubarbe Écarlate. One of the best smelling fragrances from this house, and I love it. The rhubarb is really, really delicious and realistic smelling, but it's fruity, it's pulpy, it's succulent, all rolled into one. And if you've used or cooked with rhubarb, you kind of know what I'm talking about. coconut, because there is this kind of like pulpy, gelatinous kind of consistency with rhubarb, and you wear this fragrance like that. But wish it lasted longer, because this is after all an eau de cologne, and it doesn't perform as good as I want it to be. It does perform a little better than a few other fragrances in this collection. The thickness does come through, but in the end it's a fruity fragrance, so it doesn't last and last and last. But I think this one you can extend the life with something like Molecule 1, Molecule 2, maybe even Molecule 4. Molecule 3 is too strong, but either way, rhubarb, lantana, musk, but definitely there's some fruitiness in here. Still, wish it lasted a lot longer than it does last currently. I want it to be a little more intense. Either way, Hermes Eau de Rhubarbe Écarlate, wonderful fragrance, but wish it lasted longer. Now we are talking about Kilian, and I'm kind of completely avoiding Love Don't Be Shy. I won't bring up that fragrance for a while when I do my alternatives video in the near future. But I'm talking about another fragrance that I really love from this house, but it's a wimp on me. Back to Black. Great smelling fragrance. Really love the honey tobacco combo, but wears so wimpy on me. It's skin scent. There's hardly any projection, there's hardly any cloud or anything. And longevity on this one is also not the best. Wish it smelled, I mean, it smells great. Wish it performed better though. Really wanted it to be thicker, denser, heavier, because I love that in fragrances. Sadly, this one's not that. But if you want to still try it, it's honey, tobacco, cherry, vanilla, raspberry, almonds, gingerbread, and amber. Really, really delicious. It smells like real honey, but with a lacing of like ashy tobacco through it. And, you know, that's not really a thing. You're not going to eat you know, honey with tobacco in it, but to me the honey smells really, really authentic. Wish it was a beefier fragrance though. Either way, Kilian's Back to Black is a great scent that I wish was a lot more umphier. This next fragrance is going to the house of CELINE. This is Reptile. And for a fragrance that features oak moss and leather, I thought this was going to be beast mode. Sadly, it's a skin scent on me, and it's really, really disappointing. Really, really disappointing, but smells really, really great. I love the combo. It's a very, very sexy combo of leather, oak moss, black pepper, musk, and cedar. And again, it's a masculine leaning offering from this house, but it's mostly a skin scent with very, very flat projection and hardly any sillage with this one. It's such a disappointment. Such a disappointment when these brands are, you know, testing out the fragrances. Are they saying we don't want projection, we don't want sillage, we don't want longevity, we just want a great smell? Yes, great smell is great, and I love that about fragrances because that's mostly what draws me into the fragrance, but I want some performance as well. For me, the best fragrances are the more beastly fragrances, but there's a lot of times I want no beast mode, I want just a great smell. But some of these awesome, awesome smelling fragrances I wish performed better. Either way, I don't know how Reptile performs on you from CELINE. Let me know, put a comment down, but I wish Reptile was a lot beefier and umphier on me. The next fragrance I'm talking about is from the house of Aesop. This is Wheel. Wheel, is that how you say it? Whyle? I used to say while, but they said wheel. A funny name, an odd name, but it makes sense for this particular fragrance. But once again, great smelling fragrance, kind of very average and moderate performing in you know, the sillage and projection. There's hardly any projection with this one, very, very lightly. And then of course longevity is also very, very moderate, if not not overwhelming at all, if not not moderate. But it's a fragrance that features spices, thyme, cypress, wood, olibanum, vetiver, and oak moss. Very masculine leaning, very kind of hipster-esque kind of a fragrance. It smells really, really amazing. And I think the cypress in here is hinoki from Japan. At least that's the inspiration. But either way, I wish it was a little more umphier and beefier because I really love the way it smells and I want the longevity and the intensity, but sadly I don't get it with this one. So that's Aesop Wheel. One fragrance I wish performed much better on me. This next fragrance is from the house of Byredo. This is Bal d'Afrique. Another fragrance that smells really, really great, and I love this for autumn fall wear, but it's more for the warmer days, at least for me, because in the cooler days it doesn't have the greatest performance. With this one I can always layer it with Molecule 1 or Molecule 2, because in the end it's a very woody fragrance. Molecule 1 has all the wood, so I think it would will layer perfectly together to kind of like intensify and boost up the fragrance a little. But I just wish it did have a lot more better performance. Maybe they should come out with an X-ray version. You know, they do have those little bottles from Byredo, because apparently this is their biggest selling fragrance throughout the whole company, and I can see why. It's a beautiful vetiver. It's a one-of-a-kind vetiver, very unisex, not masculine leaning, with lots of the vetiver note of lemons, marigold, blackcurrant, violet, and cyclamen. A great smell. I just wish it was a little more beefier for me. It's not the wimpiest out of all of them, but it's not the beefiest either. So Bal d'Afrique from Byredo. Wish it had better performance. Now this next fragrance, going to Jo Malone, and of course we know Jo Malone has the lightest fragrances. This is Wood Sage and Sea Salt. Smells really, really great, right? Really wonderful smelling fragrance, but in the end, you can only wear this when it's extremely hot outside, because it hardly has any projection, any sillage, and longevity. You have to keep overspraying this one for it to last a little longer. That's a sad thing, but I think you can dress this up with something like some of those molecular fragrances like Molecule 1, Molecule 2, Molecule 4, just to intensify the experience. Now keep in mind, I've been mentioning those fragrances. The smell will change a little bit, of course, but in the end you'll have like a cocktail mix of fragrance. But I think that definitely, if you want a little more intensity, a little more longevity, that's what I would do with this one. But in the end, it smells so good. Musky, salty, kind of marine green fragrance that's like a crowd pleaser. It definitely garners compliments. Either way, Wood Sage and Sea Salt by Jo Malone. I just wish it was a lot oomphier. Maybe they'll come out with an X-ray version of that, because Jo Malone's been doing lots of stronger versions of fragrances. This next one's from the house of Fresh. This is Cannabis Santal, another fragrance that smells really, really great. I love it for the patchouli cannabis dark chocolate combo, lightly hinting at something like Angel with the patchouli, lightly gourmandish. Smells really, really great, but in the end it's kind of weak on me and really light on the projection. Of course you'll have it a little when you first spray it, but it's very, very wimpy fragrance. But Fresh Cannabis Santal is patchouli, dark chocolate, plums, vetiver, vanilla, cannabis, musk, bergamot, rose, and orange. This one you can actually layer it with a lot of different things, because it's very, very woody. You can go with Molecule 1, Molecule 2, Molecule 4. If they have a patchouli version of that fragrance, which I've done, Molecule 1 comes with patchouli. I've layered the two together. It smells fantastic and definitely intensifies the experience, because this is lots of patchouli with cannabis, but the Molecule 1 plus patchouli together with this really does do a magic job. But wish it was you know, something a little more oomphier on its own, because on its own it's a great smell, but just kind of a weak fragrance. Anyway, Fresh Cannabis Santal, a great smelling fragrance. This next one's also a great smelling fragrance, but it has seen lots of reformulations, and I think it just needs to be more oomphy. And I've been doing a lot of layering with this particular fragrance. This is KIEHL'S Original Musk. Lovely fragrance, really smells like authentic musk, but doesn't last a long time. It's also not a beastly fragrance, not oomphy, so it doesn't project too much or have too much sillage. So I've been layering this with lots of vanillic fragrances, also other musky fragrances together, and it smells really, really great. But you know, this is very, very musky with orange blossom, ylang ylang, lily of the valley, neroli, patchouli, and bergamot. Just wish it was oomfier. I know 10-15 years ago this was really the magic stuff, but I know throughout the years it is under L'Oreal. It's gotten the reformulations and lightening, and it seems very, very light. So either layer it with some other like sweet kind of musky fragrances or vanillic fragrances, or wear it as a bed scent, because it's not overly expensive. So KIEHL'S Original Musk smells fantastic. Wish it was a lot stronger. Two more to go. This next one I already spoke about recently in a video announcing this particular launch of this particular fragrance in a new version, but go into the house of Guerlain. This is Spirituous Double Vanille. A great smelling, fantastic smelling fragrance. Sadly, it does not perform. It's a weak fragrance. It lasts, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours at the most, and you're paying an arm and a leg on this one. So in order for me to get longevity with this one, I have to like spray 10-15 sprays to get some kind of a longevity. But you can layer this, I mean, you can layer this one with something like KIEHL'S Original Musk. they would smell great together. But I want this smell alone. I don't want to, blend it with something like KIEHL'S Original Musk. So I think I would just overspray it, or put down something that's not too strong in a smell, like Molecule 2. Although this would also layer great with like Molecule 4 with its sandal woody creaminess. But it's a great smelling fragrance. Just wish it was a lot oomfier. It's vanilla, benzoin, jasmine, ylang ylang, cedar, rum, and spices. Very, very boozy, authentic smelling vanilla fragrance that I wish was a little more oomfier. And the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about today is from the house of Dior. This is Oud Ispahan. I know this has gotten major reformulations, major reformulations. It is like the lightest version of the original form. When I first got into this game in the early 2010s, this stuff was beast mode, but now it's very, very weak. Still a great smelling fragrance. It smells wonderful. Oud rose, woodsy notes, smoke, resins, myrrh, floral notes. But a beautiful combination of, oud and rose together with all the resiny, smoky kind of touches, but wears very thin, and it doesn't perform as well as I wanted it to be, even though it has notes that sound like it's going to perform. Either way, I can layer this with like Molecule 1, Molecule 2, Molecule 4, and it would intensify it a little bit, but I shouldn't have to, It is a fragrance that features lots of very, very strong notes. Either way, it's a disappointing thing. A lot of fragrances do get reformulated, thinned out, and this is one of them because it used to be beast mode, as I said, and people are complaining that it has gotten very, very weak. It smells great though. Dior Oud Ispahan. I wish it was a little beefier. Anyway, guys, those are 20 fragrances that I wish were beefier or lasted longer or had a lot more presence and depth and things like that. I know there's a lot more fragrances out there. What are some of the fragrances that you wish performed better, were beefier, had more oomph to it or lasted longer? Let me know. Put some comments down so I can find out. And if the fragrances I spoke to you about today perform differently on you, let me know. Put a comment down. Maybe it performs differently on, because chemistry is all, different on people. So as I say all the time, I don't talk about longevity a lot because I say it doesn't perform, somebody says it performs. I say it performs, somebody says it doesn't perform. So it's all very subjective. So I am talking about these because these, I know for me, they don't perform as well and I wish they did. But maybe they perform for you. These particular fragrances might perform on you, but for me they don't. So let me know if they are better at performing on you or not. But either way, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.